Yeah, first of all, for Ms. Kimbrough, you said something that is during your testimony that bothered me a little bit. You advocated more use of Pell Grants. And my concern with Pell Grants is always there's a significant marriage penalty associated with them and a significant work requirement because they're based on percent of poverty. So, I can think of 3 examples since I've had this job, people giving me examples where people didn't get married because they got, quote, free college. Of course, a Pell Grant isn't entirely free, but, it helps you along those lines. Could you comment on that? Because that's my big problem with Pell Grants. How do you respond to people who'd say they expect the person who's grabbing the Pell Grant when they have a full-time job or grabbing the Pell Grant when they're married? In both those cases, they don't get it because they're not in poverty, and that therefore the Pell Grants discourage work and discourage marriage.
Thank you for that question, Congressman. At LinkedIn, we support broadening the pathways for people to have access to opportunity. So to the extent that a Pell Grant isn't yet another option, it's in a variety of options, we don't support, or we haven't taken a position on any particular piece of legislation. We're just very supportive of the opportunity to work with this committee to find numerous solutions for all Americans.
No, you understand what I'm saying, though, right? A Pell Grant is based on percent of poverty. So if you're, say, going to school in addition to working full-time, you can't get the Pell Grant. If you marry somebody who has a full-time job, you can't get the Pell Grant. There are people who don't have jobs or don't get married because they're eligible for these sort of programs. Does that bother you?
Apologies. So I have not investigated this issue very deeply. It's a little outside of my domain as a macroeconomist, but I would say it would seem prudent to have as many options as possible so that we don't let people kind of fall outside in corner solutions. Okay.
Next question for Mr. Healy. I think due to court cases which are now 50 years old, it makes it difficult to give people some tests that maybe you can take, maybe even in lieu of a college degree. How do you think we can deal with that? Because on the one hand, we want to be able to hire people based on skills or ability to do something. On the other hand, we have court cases kind of saying that you can't give certain tests. Can you explain to me how we can kind of square that circle?
Thank you, Congressman, for the question. I'd like to illustrate an example and an investment that SAP has made. I hope it directly answers your question. Years ago, SAP created our NS2 Serves program. It is a program designed to support our veterans. There are 19 million living Americans who are veterans. And to address a growing need, now this is very specific around the skills piece that I want to touch on. SAP launched NS2, and it's a subsidiary of our company, but the program is in high demand, and we essentially offer free training in supporting veterans in their transition to civilian life. It's an 8 to 12 week intensive program, and students at all technical levels, and I think this is, I hope, addressing to your question, at all technical levels get world-class software training and education and learning.
No, you're not answering my question. Okay. So I gotta maybe clarify it more. Okay. If you are going to give somebody to a job, and you are not going to say you have to go to college, you have to find another way to measure this applicant versus another applicant. There was a time in this country where you could do that by giving them a test. Okay, court decisions struck down the idea of just giving somebody a test. On the other hand, I think we have all sorts of people who could do a job without going to college, but they can't get that job. So how does the company identify that person And the obvious way to do it is to give them a test.
Brief question.
Okay.
Brief answer, man.
Very shortly, I would say it's, again, back to the skills assessment piece. What are the required skills for a role, independent of their credentials? And what are the skills which we can assess of candidates? And we can match those skills.
Thank you. Thank you so much.